The Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have, Frank Reich. He's there.
He's doing stuff.
Being the leader. He's getting this team, and now he's got a quarterback. One that he believes in and one that he believes has a future. Carson Wentz coming to this team, I really like it. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a Carson Wentz hater. I believe Carson Wentz has good football still left in him. I believe Frank Reich can be the guy to get it out of him. We've already seen it. They're going to have to obviously figure out some things on how he can hold on to the football, because he fumbles a shitload of times. But I feel like they've got a lot of young pieces there to be super successful. We know they've got one of the best defenses in the league. We know that they have, the best offensive line in the league?
One of them. Losing Costanzo that hurts.
True.
They're going to need a left tackle. I'm going to be really honest with you. The Indianapolis Colts are the team that makes the most sense to chase Orlando Brown in the NFL.
Okay.
It's the team. It's them and the Jaguars that make the most sense to me. Mm-hmm. Because having a left tackle like that with Ryan Kelly and Quentin Nelson and Braden Smith, that's an offensive line.
Orlando.
That's a time that now you have put. Because they're going to wind up with another receiver. Whether it's bringing back T.Y. Hilton, I can see bringing back T.Y. Hilton and adding another receiver. You're going to do everything in your power to make this Carson Wentz thing work out. Because this is the perfect scenario. He's got the coach he wants. He's got a tremendous offensive line. You add the left tackle, and I can see this team being a Super Bowl contender because the defense is very, very good. The thing about the Colts is they have a lot of money, but they don't.
Okay, explain.
So they have a shitload of cap space.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of guys that you're getting ready to pay. So unless you're planning on kicking the can down the road, I don't necessarily see the Colts as like their big free agent acquisition is Carson Wentz. Yeah. And you added him in a trade.
Yeah.
That's going to be the big splashy move for the Colts, in my opinion. They have money. They'll wind up with some deals on some guys. I could see that you were talking earlier about a team that could wind up with a receiver and you go, damn, they got a deal on that guy.
Yep.
This is the team I could see doing that. I could see them getting a deal on 1 year with T.Y. Hilton and maybe a 3-year deal on somebody like, just go through my rankings, somebody like Nelson Aguilar or somebody of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Alshon Jeffrey.
You think they're going to sign Alshon?
I wasn't kidding in any way.
Eesh.
Alshon and Carson Wentz got along pretty well.
Okay.
And you could get him for a bag of peanuts right now.
No doubt. I don't think
How
anybody
old
else
is Alshon Jeffrey?
28.
God almighty. Y'all went the super wrong way. Maybe it's because I remember Alshon Jeffrey when he was drafted.
Yeah.
He's 31 years old.
Is he really?
I thought he was like 39.
He's definitely not that old.
He's 31 years old. He can still be a good 2. And I think Michael Pittman's a 1. Straight up, I think Michael Pittman's a 1. I've thought it since the minute I watched tape on him the first time.
Okay.
He was the number 1 receiver on the Chase Claypool list last year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2 behind Chase Claypool.
Right.
Formerly known as the 6 to midnight list.
I don't know about him being a number 1, but he is a very, very good number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. But that's not, you don't move on with just him. You've got to have another piece.
You do.
And I don't see.
And I think Paris Campbell can be that piece. If he can stay healthy, for the love of God, stay healthy.
I don't see T.Y. Hilton continuing with this team. I think they go in a different angle.
And they very well might.
And they'll be better served to do that.
I think T.Y. Hilton's going to go out and find that the market on him is ice cold, and he's going to come back to Indy on a sweet deal.
On a sweet deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you can get a value on him, sure. Why not? But obviously, they've got their quarterback now. They've got the running back of the future.
Oh, no doubt.
Jonathan Taylor is amazing. I fell in love with that guy at Wisconsin, and he did not do anything to get me off of that bandwagon in his rookie year. Like I said, their offensive line is shoring up. What's their big target on defense?
I look at this team. You're a little old. I mean, I'm not super wild about Justin Houston. I think they need an edge guy. If you told me they're going to go out and spend money, and I understand I'm going to get comments in the comments of this video saying I'm an idiot, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
This is a team I could see making a run at Yannick Ngakoue. I really could see them making a run at Yannick Ngakoue. Because he ain't going back to the Jaguars. Mm-hmm. He doesn't fit with the Jets. And there's just not that many teams that have money. He's not going back to Baltimore. And I look at this team and go, he fits so perfectly here. And that strikes me as such a Colts move because this is not a huge free agent destination town. Mm-hmm. But he's a young guy. They do have money, and he fits like a glove on this defense. And you got him with Darius Leonard behind him. I think that sounds okay. And that would allow, because they've got a ton of young corners, whether it's, Kenny Moore, Rock Ya-Sin. They've put a lot of capital in the secondary. Mm-hmm. None of them are great corners. And Xavier Rhodes is a free agent who I don't know if they're going to bring back or not. My fear with Xavier Rhodes is that he hits the open market and a team gives him money that's stupid. And it could happen because this is a killed market at corner.
Yeah.
One of the ways to mitigate a young secondary is to have a really good pass rush. And of all the high-end free agents, that's the one I could see them pursuing.
Mm-hmm. It makes a whole lot of sense.
This team has
and it
drafted,
would make them more dangerous.
This team has drafted ridiculously well. Yeah. And the thing about that is that eventually you have to pay the piper and pay those guys. Mm-hmm. And Darius Leonard is right there for that. And you've got several other guys that are going to be coming up for money. Mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily see them. When I said they have money but they don't. Yeah, they have $45 million in cap space. Yes, you can do the shell game of kicking the can down the road and making the numbers work. Mm-hmm. I think it's more likely that they take care of their guys on not team friendly deals, but they pay them early. And it's done. There's no, are we going to franchise? No, we just got the deal done. And I could see them doing a lot of that to keep everybody happy because this team is insanely talented. They needed a quarterback, and now they have one.
Well, they know they're definitely not moving on from Darius Leonard. He's going to be the guy that Indianapolis keeps around forever. He's the next Dwight Freeney of that franchise. They'll keep him there for 15 years.
He's a fantastic player.
Absolutely. And he's a really likable guy.
He is. He's one of the best draft picks. I haven't finished this yet, but he's one of the highest rated draft picks the last 3 years. Mm-hmm.
So you're saying they won't necessarily be a heavy player in free agency.
They're going to be a player, but I think they're going to be more looking for deals.
Right.
I don't necessarily think they're going to be big game hunting. For the super high-end guys, the Allen Robinsons and guys like that.
Right.
I could see them taking a run at Yannick Ngakoue.
I've heard Kenny Galladay's name mentioned more than once when I'm looking at Colts
I have
needs.
as well, and I'm not sure that I love that. I feel like Kenny Galladay and Michael Pittman Jr. are the same guy. I don't really like having one on each side. Mm-hmm. You need somebody with some speed. Now, here's where I could be wrong in that. If you feel like Paris Campbell is going to be healthy for once and can be that guy, okay, I rescind my objection. I also think Kenny Galladay is going to be insanely expensive if he's not franchised.
I can get down with that. What about Antonio Brown? Doesn't fit the culture in Indianapolis?
Not at all. Not at all.
Any other wide receivers you think could land there? In that,
then you start getting into the draft, and I look at a guy just off the top of my head, Terrace Marshall from LSU. I would like him in this system. He's a bigger guy. He's even bigger than Pittman is, but I could see that being conducive to Carson Wentz.
Okay. At number 21, would that be their best bet?
No. As of right now, I've got them taking Gregory Rousseau. They are my landing spot for Rousseau. That's assuming they don't land Yannick Ngakoue. Mm-hmm. And he's a situational pass rusher. I get it. But in that defense, I think he could be tremendous. If there was a tackle right there, that's what I would have given them, but there's not one. Mm-hmm. I don't have Tevin Jenkins that high. Sam Cosmi, I've had that high off and on. He's another guy that I really like landing in Indy. I just wish they weren't quite so high. If they were 7 spots lower, I would love Sam Cosmi. It's just a little bit of a reach that high to me. And they don't strike me as a team that's going to do that. Mm-hmm. They mitigate the risk, and they draft the best. They draft their favorite player on the board. I can give you 4 different examples of that over the last 2 years. And that's how you're supposed to do the draft. That's why this team went out and got Carson Wentz, because they have a lot of cheap talent from guys they've drafted.
Right.
That's why it works. And I think I 100% think this team is a Super Bowl contender. I think this is the team that's being undervalued by Vegas. It's being undervalued by the NFL media on the whole. This is the best team in the AFC South. And I don't think it's all that close.
I think it's pretty close with them in Tennessee, but it's going to matter. Tennessee's going to have to, they're going to have to do some things, as we talked about in their preview, to stay in this conversation. Because no doubt I believe that Indianapolis is the team that is best set up to win this division over the next 3 or 4 years. But it all really truly hinges on Carson Wentz and whether or not he can regain the form that he had under Frank Reich with the Philadelphia Eagles. And you don't think that's going to be a problem?
No, I don't. I think the problem with I'm going to say the same thing about Carson Wentz that I said about Sam Darnold. I think the problem with Carson Wentz was the Philadelphia Eagles. I do not think the problem with the Philadelphia Eagles was Carson Wentz. Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to see it in Indianapolis, and Philly's going to be a sewer water, dumpster juice bag of penises for the next 3 years. And I'm going to be sitting here going, hey, you remember that quarterback I tried to tell you was really good? Yeah, he's been in the Pro Bowl in Indy.
I don't see how Indianapolis is not a playoff team and possibly a division winner, and I won't be surprised to see them in a championship game.
I am right there with you.
But I don't know that I can put them over like Kansas City.
Oh, I can. Oh, I can 100% do that.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I can 100% do that.
Because the defense is so much better?
Over Kansas City or over Tennessee?
Over Kansas City, overall in the AFC.
Things would have to break their way. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I feel that way about a lot of people. They're markedly deeper. Defense is drastically better. Mm-hmm. Running game is drastically better. But then you get to quarterback. And right. Mahomes is just a head and shoulders above everybody. But I think Carson Wentz can be in that discussion of the next tier. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, then, yeah, I could put him in over. I could say I could see a path that they wind up in the Super Bowl and Kansas City doesn't.
Hitting a home run in the offseason obviously is going to be the thing that gets them over that hump. I like what you've built here. Yannick Ngakoue, maybe a wide receiver in free agency, draft him a tackle or something. It's very doable for them to fill the pieces that they have to be one of the most competitive teams in the AFC next year.
And I full on agree with that. You were talking about Marlon Mack in our morning show.
Yep.
I think they're going to bring Marlon Mack back. I think he's going to be a value running back, and he'll steal some carries from Jonathan Taylor, yes, but he'll also keep Jonathan Taylor fresh.
Exactly. Because if you rely on that one guy, he will break sooner.
I just don't think the market on Mack's going to be that tremendous, and because there are a ton of running backs, whether it's in the draft or free agency, mm-hmm. and I could see them getting a deal on him, and I would actually really like that. Him coming back as a spell back to Jonathan Taylor, I think, would be very conducive to Indianapolis.
I think Marlon Mack still got it in him to be a starter in this league, but if teams don't feel the same way, you could pick a lot worse places to end up than going back to Indianapolis and hopefully being the guy that can pick up the pieces and fill the gaps and be able to compete for a championship, because at least you will have that opportunity.
And I'll tell you another thing. This is a team I wouldn't be shocked if they added another corner. I know they've done that 100 times. Mm-hmm. It's really one of their only deficiencies. I feel like they have, Rhodes, if they can figure that out, I feel like you have a 1, and I feel like you have 2 3s. It's that 2 that I'm curious. Can any of those guys jump to that level? I would be lying if I said I had digested a ton of tape on the second corner for the Indianapolis Colts. I liked Rock Ya-Sin coming out. Mm-hmm. I've watched some tape on him in the league. I just don't think he's there yet. Could be this year. I love Matt Eberflus, and I think that's a guy that can really coach defense. But don't be shocked if they take a corner higher than you think they would. There are a lot of mocks that have them taking corners, and there's two I know they like. I know they like Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. I know they like J.C. Horn out of South Carolina.
Be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel at The Sportsocracy. We will have more of the offseason files continuing until we get them all finished. And we are working our way through that. Just be sure to subscribe to the channel and check out the offseason files playlist. This afternoon on ESPN.